Hello, hello, hello. This is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, where I help you live the dream through travel. I help entrepreneurs, women business owners, and professionals reconnect with their inner explorer. And that's how I help you live the dream. So today we've got quite a bit of stuff to talk about. Hmm. I said, let me just face the elephant in the room. Stop ignoring it because I know there are a lot of questions people have. And actually, today I've been getting a boatload of calls and inquiries from people because they genuinely want to know what's going on. They genuinely want to know, how is this going to impact my travel? What do I do? So, um, let's see. I'm going to check to see if I see any comments. So remember, I'm live using a tool called StreamYard. So you need to click the link granting StreamYard permission to show your profile. And then I'll be able to see your profile if you ask a question. So just make your comments or ask your questions, and then I will answer the questions at the end or during the break. So I'm just going to continue on. This is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, helping you live the dream through travel. And today I'm here to talk to you about all the rules or the new rules for international travel. And so I'm specifically picking this out because it's effective on Monday. Okay. So, hmm, effective Monday, all international arrivals coming to the US from international destinations must have a negative COVID 19 test. That goes for US citizens, that goes for non US citizens, that goes for vaccinated people, that goes for unvaccinated people, that goes for US citizens, that goes for non US citizens, that goes for vaccinated people, and that goes for unvaccinated people. So the rules changed because of the what is it called, the newest variable or virus strain that's out there, the Omicron. That's what it's called. So it spread so fast. So um, right now, people are trying to preserve themselves because we've made some progress, and people countries, not just US, other countries as well, they're scrambling because they want to make sure that they keep people safe, and the virus doesn't get out of hand like it has been, because we don't ever want to go back to the lockdowns. Okay, so we have all of these new rules, right? And it impacts us, those of us who like to travel, those of us who like to travel Those of us who like to travel, those of us who like to travel, it impacts us, okay? So, yeah. Um, However, all is not lost, right? Effective December the 6th, that's Monday, all incoming international travelers to the United States aged 2 years and older must have a negative COVID 19 viral test, and it has to be taken within 24 hours or 1 day before you travel. So that's cutting it kind of close. So before, it was just limited to people who were unvaccinated for US citizens, right? And then non US citizens had to have a vaccine and a test. So sort of similar to what other countries do. Because I've traveled 2 months ago in the end of September, went to France, right? So they required that you have to have a vaccine or have proof of vaccination, and they did accept our CDC card um, to enter the country. Not only to enter the country, but to enter venues like restaurants, movies, museums, all of the attractions that we so go to France to see. You had to have that. Now they have something called a French passport, or a health passport is like a digital ID. I think they're moving away to something else. But in any event, they do recognize our US CDC card. So that's in Paris, and it's different in every area, right? They have these different provinces, just like we do. Some are stricter than others. So I traveled through the south of France from Avignon all the way up to Lyon. Then I took the high-speed train to Paris. So I traveled through quite some different areas. I was in Provence for the most of the time. Back to what we were talking about. So, what you need to have, don't panic, right? So this is why I'm doing this training here to give you some tools for your toolbox. Okay, so you understand what the risks are for traveling. Don't go out there being unprepared, not knowing, and being surprised. Just be wise, know what to do, and you can be prepared, and you can still travel internationally. Okay, so um, the type of test, um, I'll talk to you about that in a minute, but you also, like, for those people who have recovered from the pandemic, right? Those people need to have documentation of having recovered from COVID-19, but it's only good for like 90 days before they board the flight. So, yeah, so that's like a doctor's note. And I'll go into that into the next slide. So, like I said before, all US citizens need, regardless of vaccination status, they need to have a COVID-19 test, and it needs to be negative within 1 day of return. And that's how that goes. So now here we go to the airlines, because I had a call about this one today, and I've had quite a few conversations about the airlines, right? So the airlines are responsible for collecting and verifying the test information, as well as verifying you are who you say you are, as well as verifying that the document that you provide them is valid. They're also responsible with collecting your statement or your attestation stating that the things that you're saying, like you're saying, yeah, I'm vaccinated and I have this test, you're attesting that what you're saying is true. And the airline is responsible for collecting this information and then giving it to the government, right? Or customs, validating it before you even get on the plane. So they're the first line of defense, so to speak, the airlines. All right. So they have electronic means and there are visual means, right? So we all have cell phones. So take a picture of your documents, right? Save it on your phone. A lot of times you have your COVID test, your PCR test is going to be emailed to you, or you'll have a digital certificate. You still want to make a picture of that, like I do for my boarding passes. Even though I'll have the boarding pass in the app, I'll still swipe and make a picture of it because you may lose connectivity. And another good thing to do is send a copy of your documents to your travel advisor, because you can lose them. Anything can happen. And if you lose a copy of your documents while you're traveling, your travel advisor will have it and be able to provide those documents for you. So um, that's another thing that you should do. So you need to have these layers to protect yourself when you're traveling in these days, because it's dicey. It's possible to travel, but you have to be on your P's and Q's and know what's going on. All right. Okay. So now some people were asking me about refunds. I've gotten calls about this. Refunds. That's a tricky one with the airline. So, like, let's say that flights are canceled, or you decide that you don't want to travel because the requirements in a particular destination that you have a trip planned to, the requirements change. They're not required to give you your money back, okay? So I just wanted you to know that, right? Um, the Department of Transportation is the organization or agency that, um, you know, governs them, right? So, in case your flights have to be canceled, the only way that they're required to give you a refund is if they cancel the flights, or the schedule change is significant. Like, let's say there's like a day between. And I'm just saying because each airline is different. But the big three, United, American, Delta, those are the big three. This is just generalized stuff that's coming from them. Of course, we know there are some other airlines out there and their rules differ, but the main points that I'm trying to make here is that the airlines are required, the only time they're required to give you your money back or give you a credit, and you have to request it, is when they cancel your flights or there's a significant schedule change. And there's a reason why they have those tickets cheap that you get and you try to wait for the last minute, of which I absolutely advise against waiting for the last minute to buy your airline ticket, because that's when the prices go up. You can wait till the absolutely positively last minute and then not get a flight, because then you're going to be on standby to get that dirt cheap ticket at the last minute. But the best time to get your tickets is no more than a month out from the day that you're going to travel, because that's the flights start steadily going up. So, but they do have deals that you can take advantage of for airline tickets, and they're cheap. Especially these economy flights that you can see like dirt cheap. There are so many different categories of flights that I couldn't even explain to you. I couldn't even explain them all to myself. I have to stop and look them up. But they have no refund type tickets or non-refundable tickets, right? You don't get a refund for those tickets unless that flight is canceled by them. That's the only time they can refund it. There's a reason why they come up with these non-refundable tickets. And a lot of times you don't know that it's non-refundable when you're buying it or you're not paying attention to it. So you have to be really, really, really careful, because if you shell out some money, you go online, one of these online travel agencies, and it's happened to me, you know, even with the hotels. You got to be extra, extra careful with that, because when you're booking in unrefundable or a non-refundable rate, you don't get your money back. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. So, and just think that's money down the drain. So, me personally, I don't book those non-refundable rates for my clients. If they insist and they want the cheapest or the lowest price, I advise them this is a non-refundable, and the only way you're going to get any piece of your money back is if you buy travel insurance, which is another discussion. Always buy travel insurance. Okay. So that's with the airlines. Now, types of documents and proof that you need in order to travel back to the US from a non-US destination. And that goes for US citizens as well. So you need to have um, a SARS-CoV viral test. It could be one of the rapid ones. There are two types. There are nucleic acid amplification tests, or NAT, and antigen tests. Those are the two types. And a rapid test can be any one of these things here. I'm not a scientist or a chemist or a lab tech person, but it can be, as long as it is one of these two type tests. So that's the type of test that you would need in any event. So, to be quite honest, when you're doing these rapid tests, because I needed to have one to come back from France, needed to have one to come back from Antigua and Mexico, because I've been traveling, okay? But even though I had a vaccine, so I needed the vaccine and I needed a test, but the test needed to be done within 36 hours. So I was able to get those tests, but they were coming back in the same day. In Mexico, I got my test result back in 20 minutes. So that's a thing, right? When you're looking for tests and you're traveling, that's just something that you just got to know. And travel professionals will be able to tell you this. When you're booking your accommodations, you need to make sure or ask if they help you get your test to go back home, right? Because the places that I book my clients in and I myself book in, I go to places that provide that on site Now, in the case in France, because I took a river cruise and then spent 3 nights in Paris, uh, while on the ship, those people who were going back home and not doing anything extra afterwards and just going back home, they got their test on the ship, so they had the testing company come on the ship and do the tests for them so they could return home. Now for me, since I went to Paris, because I had a 3-night stay in Paris, I took this additional tour through the company, mind you, AmaWaterways, and yes, they went with us. The cruise manager went with us, for those of us who took that, extension to Paris. They actually transported us to the lab. So we had an appointment at a lab, and they scheduled the tour bus to come get us and dropped us off at the lab. We got our test done. They emailed us the results. And by the time we got back to the hotel, um, we had our results. So it was like within a couple hours. Okay. And this was in France. So, and one other thing that I know that they're talking about doing um, is having airport testing available in the US at the airports for people traveling internationally because many times, most of the time, to be quite honest, you have to be vaccinated to go anywhere, right? Because these countries are not going to let you in their borders, or if you do manage to get in, you're not going to be able to do anything, right? So Germany just tighten their restrictions. You have to be vaccinated to come. If you're not vaccinated, the only thing that you can go and do is meet with other people. That's it. You can't go in anywhere. Um, that's just how it is right now. So, um, but they're doing testing, right? So the government is talking about, our government is talking about contracting these testing companies at the airport for people who actually, when they get home, when they get off the plane, they'll be able to test you. And then you'll be able to make an appointment at the airport if you're going someplace else and get a rapid test to travel on the day of travel. Now, that's not a strange thing because that's actually how they have it in some of the airports in France. Because when I flew into France, I flew into Marseille and they had the testing um, facilities right there in the airport. So I was like, wow, it's like right there. So we're a little behind the times in that aspect. So the types of tests we went over, I talked about the types of tests that will be accepted, and it can be a rapid test, but it has to be one of those two, a NAT or an antigen. Now, there's something new that's out there. Not really new, but not heard of as much, except for the cruise community. There are these self-tests or home tests, right? So these self-tests or home tests are tests that you can order from the lab, and you take it with you. I know Royal Caribbean partners with a company when people need to have these tests to go anywhere, and then they need the test to come back home. So what you do is you order this at-home test or a self-test, and I was confused about that because I'm like, how in the world, if that's the case, I could just say or take anything and say that I have a positive test and write anything up. So no, doesn't work like that. So this is how it works. You order the test, you take the test with you. When it's time to go back home to the US, what you do is you register the kit. And as long as you have an internet connection, you have to have an internet connection. There's a proctor, just like when you're taking certification exams, right? So, my background is actually in IT and engineering, software engineering and stuff. So I have to take these certification exams, or I had to. I don't do it anymore because it's time to retire. So yeah, I still work. It's a good thing I still do, right? I was planning on retiring sooner, but the pandemic hit, so that was that. So you have a proctor, or like college students, if they're doing it remote, you have a proctor, you register, you log onto this website, you have somebody watching you. Just it's like a telehealth service. I'm also a veteran, so in some cases, I've during the pandemic when everything was shut down, my appointments were through telehealth, and some of my appointments are with other doctors as well through telehealth. And there's an app on your phone. You talk to the doctor or the provider, and the VA has been doing it for years and years and years. For dermatology. So to see your skin and things like that. So it's similar. So what you do is you have this proctor, you have to have an internet connection. They watch you take the test. They watch however this test is configured. I have not tried one of these, but I definitely will have to. But I'm not traveling right now. I'm not traveling in December. So it'll probably be January or February when I do it again. So I got to try it. One of these test kits, I think they're like about 60 bucks, something like that. And you have to pay out of pocket and then your insurance will reimburse you for it. But it's like a test kit, and the proctor watches you and they do the result and then they certify it and send that it's positive or negative, and they send you the result electronically, and then you have like a digital barcode or something like that with your result. So that's interesting. That's how the self test or the home test kit works, right? It works with telehealth services. So in addition to your tests, you have to have an attestation, and that's just a form. It's a statement saying that and confirming by you that the information that you providing is true. And it is based on one of our US codes. So other countries have the same because I had to do one entering Mexico. I had to do one entering France, and I had to do one when I transferred, or excuse me, when I had a layover in London. I had to do an attestation form, as well as one going to Antigua. That's what that is. And then they also know where you are in case there's an outbreak, they can find you. Okay. So that's what they do in other countries. They want to know where you are, where you stay in case something happens. They want to be able to find you. All right. So that's what the attestation form is. So the US is doing it too. So you also, the other types of proof are proof of vaccination. So in this case, it looks like it's going to only apply to I don't know for sure. They didn't really clarify that. But it does only make sense. It'll only apply to non-U.S. citizens because non-U.S. citizens have to have proof of vaccination and a negative COVID-19 test. Um, Before this new rule, for U.S. citizens, you could travel without having a vaccine and then come back, but you had to have a test done within the 1 day, but vaccinated travelers didn't need to take the test. So now everybody has to have a test. So I don't think that that's going to work or be needed, the proof of vaccination to come back home. However, you're going to need it to go visit somewhere else. So don't think you're going to get out of that one. You're going to need it because most countries are requiring it if you are an international traveler. Okay, so the last thing that's at the bottom, let me make that bigger so I can see it. Um, Proof of recovery, right? So let's say that you had COVID and you just need to travel internationally. What you would need is a copy of your test results and a signed letter from your licensed healthcare provider, and stating that you are cleared for travel because according to the doctors, if you have had COVID, they don't want you to take a test within 90 days of it or something like that. That's why you need those two things. You would need proof of your viral test results and a signed letter from the doctor stating that you're cleared for travel. That's the other. Okay, so next, please buy travel insurance. I can't stress that enough. Because of all this stuff happening, you'd be surprised at how many people still are not purchasing travel insurance or travel protection. Insurance protects your investment. Travel insurance protects your investment. Travel insurance protects your investment. So, buy travel insurance. Okay. Now, many times you can purchase travel insurance on just your airline. They will offer you that, but then that will cover only your ticket. Then it doesn't cover your hotel if you're booking yourself or you don't buy it on the whole trip. So The best advice that I can give you is to buy a policy that covers your entire trip. That way you're covered, okay? So a lot of times you can go online and you can get these, you think it's a deal, but you don't know what the fine print is, right? It just seems like this price is so great and I'm just going to go over to Cancun and have all this fun and fun in the sun, and then guess what? You test positive or your travel companion test positive. And this just happened. And I'm telling you, I'm in a lot of travel groups and I hear these things and I'm just really surprised that people are taking these risks and not purchasing travel protection. I can't tell you how many people are testing positive in Cancun or Mexico because you don't need to have a vaccine or a test to go there, but they're testing positive, and when it's time to come home, they have to be quarantined because the US is not gonna let you come back. But check this out. Some of these resorts will not let you stay there if you test positive, but do you know that when you're booking on an online travel agent? No, you don't know that. Do you What's gonna happen? Where are you gonna stay if you test positive? A government facility? Are they gonna whisk you off to some government facility or some roach motel, you know, because they're not gonna allow you to stay there, or they may allow you to stay there, but you have to pay, and it could be up to 10 days. So what I do for my clients is I always make sure that I book them in places where they're comped, where they have a seal of health and safety standards and they're standing by what they're saying. We do such a good job that we guarantee you won't get it because our protocols are the bomb and you're not going to get COVID. So if you do, it'll be a fluke and we'll allow you to stay here for up to 10 days comp. Okay. And you can have a travel companion too. But it's best to have travel insurance because travel insurance also will protect you for um, it will excuse me, it will protect you for your entire trip, right? Um, because if you buy a policy that covers your entire trip, it might cost 5 to 10% of the total trip costs. However, of course, the rates are going to be different based on your age, where you're going, and where you live, like what state you're in. Some of the covered reasons is like, let's say that you need to cancel for some reason, someone gets sick and you can't go. So I just talked about the airlines and their reluctance to give you a refund or a credit unless you pay. If you pay extra for that ticket, for that um, ticket where you can reschedule your trip or get a voucher, that's a different story. But if you purchase one of those non-refundable tickets, you're just out of luck. That's why you need travel protection. If you have a travel protection policy, the travel policy will reimburse you for the entire cost of the ticket or a portion of it, maybe 80, 90. It's up to the policy that you buy, but at least you get some of your money back, right? So another covered reason is, let's say you get sick or get hurt before or during the trip. They're not going to take Blue Cross, okay? They're not gonna take Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Europe, okay? So you need to have some type of medical coverage or medical evacuation, and as a matter of fact, because some places you may need to come back to the US once they stabilize you. And it's pricey if you don't have money to I mean, it's a lot of money, so you need to have travel protection, bottom line. Okay, so the next reason is it would protect you in case of adverse weather and natural disasters. So COVID's like a natural disaster now, hurricanes, all kinds of things. Um, some policies, I know that the policies that the company that I sell, Allianz, they do cover COVID related issues. Okay. Now let's see. Also, travel delays or interruptions. Your travel could be delayed because of something going on. Remember a few weeks ago there was a accidental discharge at the Atlanta airport. And boy, oh boy, was that fun. Not. So they locked down the airport because it's a major international hub, right? So people's flights were delayed. So in case of a delay, you may not be able to fly to your next leg until the next day. And the airlines are like, we don't have to, it's not that significant. You can stay in the hotel or stay in the excuse me, you can stay in the airport. Well, what if you got a bunch of kids that you're traveling with? You have your kids with you. You want to stay in the airport? No. You would like to stay in a hotel. This is where travel insurance or travel protection would help you. In case of your travel delays or any interruptions, it would cover you and help you with lodging or anything that you would need. It'll also help you with lost, stolen, or delayed bags. My bag never made it. My checked luggage never made it to France. Okay. So, because I had travel protection, I was able to get reimbursed. And daily allowances. Um, if you're back for each day that you're not there. The bag doesn't get there, excuse me. The bag doesn't get there. They deposit the money directly into your account. So these are the types of things that you need traveling in these day and times, right? During the pandemic, because we're still in one. Okay, so that being said, if you want to know more about how to travel during the pandemic, download my checklist. Okay, it's completely free. It'll be in the post. The link will be in the post. So don't travel without knowing these 10 things. It's just a checklist. And I do have some links on where you can do your research on how to, the things that you need to know for traveling internationally during the pandemic. And just so you're not caught off guard, right? Be prepared. Knowledge is power. Don't travel without knowing these things. So the link to my free guide is in this post. Okay. So next, now let's move on to something fun. All right. So here we go. I am announcing the trip. The Enchanting Rhine River Cruise Journeys by Cilla Travel. That's wah. And I'm doing a webinar on next Thursday, the 9th, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register for the event. So if you're not on the VIP list, get on the VIP list because the VIPs will be notified first when the trip is open for booking. Those people who are on the VIP list will be offered a space first because this trip is in high demand. The spaces are limited, so be a VIP so you can get the trip first. You can get your spot, secure your spot first. So there'll be low down payments as well as some other incentives. I'll be talking about that along with my guest um, from AmaWaterways, my business development manager. So this it's a river cruise on the Rhine River through 4 countries in Europe. 4 countries! Yes, 4 countries in Europe. It's like a dream. This is how you live the dream. This is how you live the dream. This is how you live the dream. Okay, so the Enchanting Rhine River Cruise, it's going to be the date I will release, the final date, but look for this to be the end of summer, the end of next summer, right? So it'll be a river cruise traveling from Switzerland, France, Germany, ending in Amsterdam. And then to top it all off, because that's the Enchanting Rhine, to top it all off, we will be attending the Floriade Expo 2022. And that is a international horticultural event that only happens every 10 years. This year it's happening in um, a little town outside of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And what it is, it's actually a green city. So they're going to be showcasing. Each country gets to do these expos or showcase what they've done, their accomplishments um, at this expo. So this is like a horticulture um, expo. Was like done every 10 years. It started in the 60s, and each country showcases their, you know, advancements in horticulture, but and this is taking horticulture to another level. It's like horticulture on steroids. They've actually built a green city, and that green city is like a community that they built in this little town outside of Amsterdam. They reclaimed this area that was like marshland, right? Or like they've reclaimed it. They built a city. It's a sustainable city. So this is sustainable, all sustainable materials, all made out of plants. They recycle everything. Everything is organic. They use electric. There's like an electric tram, electric trains. Everything is electric powered. There's no fossil fuels used. They recycle everything. They have houses that are cooled by this material or this plant that they grow. So they actually grow plants and create these materials, building materials, and other living materials out of the plants. Isn't that something? So that's what's going to be on display. So I don't know about you, but over the pandemic, I took up gardening because I was like, there's gonna be a food shortage. You can't find anything in the store. Let me learn how to garden because I don't know what's gonna happen. So, but I do need help though. I was able to grow some tomatoes this year that actually grew. Last year wasn't so good, and peppers, a lot of peppers. Okay, now remember, sign up. The link is in the post. Sign up for register for the webinar. Right? That link is there too. Register for the webinar. So you've got to be registered to attend the webinar to be eligible for the incentives that we're going to drop on next Thursday. In addition, be on the VIP list because the VIP list is anybody on the VIP list. Those people are going to be offered everything first. So please sign up for the VIP list as well. So the link to that is it's in there as well. So uh, remember one more thing. Join my Facebook group. It is called Women Entrepreneurs Who Love Traveling. And the link to that group is in this post as well. Don't forget to sign up to be a VIP and don't forget to register. Don't forget to register for the webinar next week. It's going to be fabulous. So, that was actually the best trip I've ever taken in my life, that river cruise. Hey, I'm of the opinion and of the place or station in life where I love to travel in comfort and style and be pampered every so often, because, we women, we just work, we go to school, we get our education, we raise families, we get married, we help everybody, help them, we get a career. And then, you're like, okay, what happened? I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but hmm, when I was younger. So that's what the pandemic actually did for me. I'm like, okay, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything. Okay, man, I'm like, life's not promised, So do those things that you want to do, those things that you dreamed about doing. That's how I help you live the dream because um, if you're a woman entrepreneur, a business person, or a professional, then you know what it is to grind. You know what it is to sacrifice. You know what it is to, operate and on with all cylinders firing all the time. So you need to take a break and you need to relax. And if you need to travel by yourself, that's no problem. Excuse me, no problemo. It's not a problem. I went on my river cruise by myself. Um, this group is for ladies, women entrepreneurs who you may want to travel. You may not want to travel alone. You don't have to travel with your sisters. so, this is Priscilla Travel signing off, hoping that you have a great rest of your evening. And let me make sure if okay, so I'm gonna sign off. If you have any questions, send me an email, agent@cillatravel.com, or go to my website, www.cillatravel.com. I'll make sure it's in the post. And you can get me on chat. You can DM me, send me an email if you have any other questions. And anyone who asked any questions, since I'm running out of time, I will answer them. I'll send them to you later. So this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel. And I just hope that you just have a great rest of your day, rest of your evening, rest of your morning, or maybe it's lunchtime when you're looking at this video. I just want you to remember, as always, one more thing. Live the dream. Bye bye.